What's going on, Jerome's? Day 2 of the 2024 NFL Draft is in the books, and even though the Vikings didn't have any selections, there's some very interesting things that went on, so we'll go through the round 2 and 3 picks, as well as the winner. I think there's a pretty clear-cut winner from day 2. It's not who you think. As well as players are still available day 3. Vikings will have a bite at the apple at the top of round 4 at pick 108. So, second round, the Bills, who had traded down several times, had a chance at a receiver, but big-bodied outside the number, Keon Coleman going to Buffalo to try and replace Gabe Davis, as well as Stephon Diggs. So Josh Allen gets himself a new wide receiver 1. The Chargers, who had gotten criticized for not taking Malik Neighbors at 5, but they still get a receiver in this very deep class. So they got Joe Alt. Now Ladd McConkey becomes Justin Herbert's new wide receiver 1. The Falcons... Ay, Dios mío. Falcons did it again. So first off, there's a bajillion trades, especially at the top of day 2. But the Falcons, I feel like Terry Fontenot might be trying to get fired on purpose. So I love me Samrook Aurora for sure, but I don't love him more than Johnny Newton. I don't love him more than Braden Fisk. But the Falcons make a move. They find themselves a great defensive player. Raheem Morris gets himself a high-energy penetrator up front. But, I mean, Johnny Newton was just there. And Braden Fisk was just there. But, you know, the Falcons taking a gamble in that spot. Johnny Newton going to the Commies. Now, this is a clear situation of BPA. So they do have Daron Payne. They do have Jonathan Allen. But Johnny Newton blowing up that B gap is going to do great things with Dan Quinn. Jalen Polk going to the Patriots. So got Drake May at 3. Got him a wide receiver 1. And Polk coming in from Washington. T'Vondre Sweat. So... there have been speculation that T'Vondre Sweat would fall because of his DUI, as well as reputation of partying in Austin, which is pretty damn easy, by the way. But all it takes is one team, and the Tennessee Titans are going to take a chance on T'Vondre Sweat. He heads to Nashville, which definitely no partying in Nashville. A little bit concerning. The Rams, so the Rams are trying to replace Aaron Donald's production. Now, they took Jared Verse in the first round. They got his teammate Braden Fisk in the second, so they're going to suture up that defensive line. So much for all this talk about, hey, Sean McVay's picks are going to be all offense. And then the Eagles. So the Eagles were interesting because the Packers were originally at 41, but the Eagles and Howie Roseman come up to 40, grab Cooper DeJean, who would have been great in Green Bay. They would have loved Cooper DeJean. But the Eagles had a very poop-at secondary last year, and now they got Quinion as well as Cooper. It's pretty damn good, man. Saints made a move, got Kool-Aid McKinstry coming in from Bama. Kamari Lassiter was the third of 4 corners in a row. Joja, he is going to the Texans. Max Melton, who the Vikings did some work on. The pride of Rutgers is going out to Arizona. More on them in a second. Then the Raiders. So I actually like what the Raiders have done. They've gone pure BPA. So they got Brock Bowers in the first round. JPJ, Jackson Powers-Johnson suturing up that offensive line. So they're just getting dudes. And I like what Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco are actually doing. 45, so this sucks. So the Packers, first of 2 second-round picks, Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M. So him and Quay Walker are going to form a great off-ball linebacker duo. So it sucks. Cooper's great. 46, the Panthers break the seal on running backs. Jonathan Brooks coming off that ACL. The pride of Texas, hook him. And Bryce Young gets some help in the backfield. Tyler Nubin, again, Dinkytown West. Or East, rather. Lots of Gophers going to the Giants. Tyler Nubin, rangy safety, helps replace Xavier McKinney on the back end of that defense. He went to the stupid Packers. Mason Smith goes to the Jaguars. So they get Mason Smith as well as Eric Armstead in one off season. Chris Jenkins going to the Bengals. I actually really like that pick. Chris Jenkins, great leader. Is going to do good things against the run, as well as has upside as a pass rusher. Run on Michigan dudes, Mike Sainstro, where I feel like he could have snuck into the back end of the first round, but pound for pound, he is one of the toughest son of a guns in this draft, and the Commies and Dan Quinn continue to just completely overhaul that defense. Zach Frazier coming in from West Virginia, going to Pitt. I really like that pick. I mean, Zach Frazier is as tough as nails. He is as Steel City as they come, and it's fantastic. So he goes to the other side of the backyard brawl, going from West Virginia to Pitt. A.D. Mitchell, who, I mean, a lot of people had seen him as a first-round pick, but there was some concerns, and he falls all the way down to 52. But either way, if he gets his ish together, I mean, Anthony Richardson has himself a prime, speedy, deep threat target. Ben Sinnott going to the Commies out of Kansas State, tight end 2 off the board. Michael Hall Jr. stays in state from the Ohio State to the Browns. Patrick Paul. So, opinion on Patrick Paul had been sort of split. Yeah, you got the physical upside, and yes, the Dolphins definitely need some help along the offensive line. So he goes to South Beach. The Cowboys, who, I mean, there been a lot of talk about the Cowboys taking a running back, and Brooks, I mean, they could have made a move and secured him, but they take Nealon in this spot. Chris Braswell going from Bama to Tampa Bay. Braswell never really panned out on all the traits, but hopefully they'll be able to do that in Tampa Bay. And then the Packers, Javon Bullard. So, hey, a Georgia safety. Those always work out. So they definitely need some help on the back end of their defense, and they got 2 really good ones in Edgerrin Cooper at linebacker, as well as Jonathan Bullard, the back end safety. Fisher goes to the Texans, the right tackle from Notre Dame, Joe Walt's running mate. Bishop, Rakestraw. So the Lions doubling down on corner because took Terry Arnold, took Rakestraw, and also they picked up Carlton Davis during the offseason. That is the Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison effect. Absolutely. Rosengarten goes to the Ravens. They need some help along the offensive line. They let go of Moses, and like I said, I don't believe in Ronnie Stanley. Kingsley Sumaita goes to the Chiefs. Now, there have been some speculation that he could have been a first-round pick. Maybe. Does need a lot of polish, but of course Andy Reid loves himself the BYU connection, who he was a former Cougar tackle back in the day. But Kingsley landing in a great spot, and it wouldn't shock me if he becomes a very solid tackle in the next couple of years. By the way, the Bills and the Niners traded with the Chiefs. Stop trading with the team that kicks your ass all the time. But the Niners end up with Renardo Green, who I had held out hope that maybe the Vikings would have traded into round 3 to go get him. Oh, Marvin Harrison Jr. is at the Wolves and Suns game. But Renardo Green, he may be the best man-to-man cover corner in this class, and he goes to the Niners, and that's a really big-time boost for them. Of course, the Niners are building to play the Chiefs again, but we'll see. Round 3. So Malachi Corley, who had been sort of the cat's ass, like everyone's favorite receiver, yards after catch monster, he goes to the Jets. Trey Benson, solid running back from Florida State, goes to Arizona. Coleman, who I really like Coleman. So tackle at TCU, physical upside, probably going to kick inside. He goes to the Commies. Again, they had a great draft. Caden Wallace, the tackle, goes to the Patriots. Junior Colson. So I honestly feel like Harbaugh wanted Blake Corum at 69. Nice, but it took another one of his guys, Junior Colson, the patrolling linebacker from Michigan. Andrew Phillips, who's a fantastic, underrated, feisty, undersized corner coming out of Kentucky. He goes to the Giants. Isaiah Adams from Illinois, the tackle. Trevor Wallace, physical freak, linebacker from Kentucky, goes to Carolina. Cooper Beebe, so respect. Even though the Cowboys, they're certainly not all in, I like Nealon in the second. I love Cooper Beebe in the third. And so now, since the Cowboys took Guyton in the first round, he can be at right tackle. They can kick Tyler Smith out to left tackle, the pride of Tulsa, and they can put Beebe at one of the guard spots. So overall, it worked out pretty good. Falcons, I don't know. I like Braylon Trice. Seems a little bit, I don't know. Jonah Ellis. Kieran. Not going to try it. But Kieran, the tackle from Yale, goes to the Bears. And, hey, they finally got a player who's going to be on the team in 5 years. Awesome. Jonah Ellis. Jonah Ellis is feisty. Jonah Ellis is a dog. Jonah Ellis is Trey Hendrickson adjacent. Again, Luther Ellis, 4 of his kids have played in the league. It was 3 or 4. One of the 2. But Jonah Ellis, in terms of tenacity and pressure rate, it's fantastic, man. Burton goes to the Bengals. I mean, could that be it for Higgins? We shall see. Christian Haynes goes to the Seahawks. I really love that pick. I mean, Christian Haynes, really rock solid meat potatoes guard, building in the trenches, and giving Geno and Sling and Sam Howell a chance in this spot. Corum goes to the Rams. So I actually love that a lot of the draft picks have just completely poo-pooed on the fantasy football community. Because, I mean, Kyren Williams, the time to sell high was yesterday. But Blake Corum goes out to L.A., but the other team. Roman Wilson goes to the Steelers. That's fantastic. Rome Wilson, I feel like, is super underrated, and they're going to love him in Pittsburgh. He's a great one-for-one replacement for Deontay Johnson. Zach Zinter goes from Michigan to that other state down south, but a rough and tumble offensive lineman, probably would have been drafted higher if he didn't have that leg issue, but he joins an already great offensive line. Maris Lefalu goes to the Cowboys as well. So overall, I feel like the Cowboys sort of redeemed themselves. Marshawn Lloyd helps try to replace Aaron Jones. So I like his profile coming out of USC. Did have some injury issues, but we'll see. Elijah Jones is a guy that I loved a lot. He goes to Arizona. Jalen McMillan, the other Washington receiver, he goes to the Buccaneers, which is a perfect spot for him. Jalen Hunt from Houston Christian, the small school FCS guys getting after it. Dwayne Carter went to the Bills. I forgot about that. Sad day. Also, McKinley Jackson. So two of my interior defensive line crushes just go. And by the way, the Bengals are building a bully. So they got themselves some Jenkins Jr. as well as McKinley Jackson. That's really damn good. Peyton Wilson, great off-ball linebacker, going to the Steelers. Kitchens going to the back end, the Rams, as well as Luke McCaffrey out of Rice. So I'm predisposed to like him. Yes, Christian's brother, he goes to Washington. And I think that the team that had the best draft so far through day 1 and 2, it's got to be Arizona. So even though Austin Ford didn't trade down and acquire more picks, he's good to go. He is absolutely good to go. So they had 4 third-rounders, 2 first-rounders. Harrison Jr. up at 4, fantastic. Darius Robinson is going to become their new Darnell Dockett. Max Melton is a cornerback I love. Trey Benson is super feisty. He's going to pair up well with Connor in that backfield. Isaiah Adams is a solid tackle prospect, as well as Tip Ryman can get into the tight end rotation, plus Elijah Jones. Melton and Elijah Jones, I think, are going to be your Tier 1 starters for them eventually. So Arizona had themselves a fantastic draft. I think the Bengals had a really good draft too. See Mims and, like we said, Jenkins, McKinley, and plus they hedged their bet with Higgins with adding Jermaine Burton. I'll say they lost Tyler Boyd. So I think the Bengals had themselves a great one too. Players that are left. So TJ Tampa, I wasn't as enamored with TJ Tampa as some other people are. I feel like the lengthy sort of stiff corners look like TJ Tampa, looking like Kyrie Jackson. I feel like they don't really jive with Flores' defense, but some surprise drops. So Jatavion Sanders being now he's like tight end 4 or 5 off the board. Brandon Dorless fell out of day 2, a little bit surprising. Troy Franklin is the main one too. Like a lot of people thought that Troy Franklin could be the wide receiver 6 off the board, back end of the first round. Now, when there's a near consensus player that everyone loves and is projected high, when he takes a tumble, generally it's medicals. But we'll see what happens there. But I mean, I would take a shot on Troy Franklin. Why the hell not? Javon Baker, I love too. Mekhi Wingo, another one of the great LSU defensive tackles, is out there, physical freak. Spencer Rattler, notably, is still out there. Same thing with Michael Pratt Jr. Trotter made it to day 3. I wouldn't mind taking a swing at Trotter, even though the Vikings are stacked up at linebacker. BPA. SVP, Cedric Van Pon Granger, is still out there as well. Javon Foster, a guy who could turn into a great swing tackle, is out there chilling if the Vikings want to take a swing at 108. Then Lumea, Brendan Jackson, Tanner Bortolini, Stupid Badger is out there. Nathaniel Watson, physical freak linebacker, co-SEC Defensive Player of the Year. DTD, who the Vikings did some work on, the safety out of Texas Tech, is out there chilling as well. Theo Johnson, the combine superstar tight end, out there. Mo Kamara, who undersized but unafraid on the edge. I love him. Ray Davis, great story. Hunter Nurzad is a rough and tumble center that I love as well. Bub Means, Gabe Hall. I mean, there's tons of names out there that Mahogany, Braylon Allen. So, I mean, there's certainly a ton of talent left, and there's going to be a lot of guys that matriculate down the field, as the Vikings have 1 4th rounder, but then they have two 6 and 2 7s. Mustafa, Miles Cole, Bucky Irving, Christian Boyd would be a dream at 108 as well. Estime. So, I mean, and there's tons of guys throughout all of the analysis and mock drafts that are still on board. And that's the thing, like there's only a finite number of players that can go round 1 or day 2 and hell, round 7. And there's gonna be a lot of guys that Mason McCormick is out there chilling too. Woo woo. I mean, there's a ton of guys that are going to be talented, they're going to make it in the league, that are going to be taken late day 3 or even undrafted. Hell, we saw it last year with Ivan Pace Jr. But that's it. Your thoughts are thoughts. Recapping NFL Draft Day 2, as well as winners and losers. What are the Falcons doing? Let us know in the comment section below. You guys know what to do. Skull Production Value.